Tracker TV breaking weather alert.
All right, folks, right around 2:15, William Cole here in the Storm Studio, and really as anticipated, we now have severe weather quickly developing across North Texas. This is truly going to unfold in two rounds, if you will. The initial round we're seeing developing right now with two supercells that have gone up fairly quickly. This will primarily be a hail threat initially, right? So the Storm Prediction Center initially has issued a severe thunderstorm watch. However, we have all indications coming in here to the Storm Studio that there will be a secondary tornado watch issued a little bit later on this afternoon, as there will be an opportunity of tornadic activity as well. We've got our team of storm trackers out, live radar. Again, we're going to be catching you up with the latest. But what I want to do, I want to jump over to radar quickly here, because we did just have these two warnings that just came out. And again, we've actually got storm trackers on both of these storms. We'll be looking at their video and talking to them coming up momentarily. This cell, I tell you what, this is a classic supercell, and look at that huge hail core coming up towards the Runaway Bay area, right? So this went up pretty quickly, and even that cell that's now moving into Cook County up towards Gainesville, there's going to be large hail possible with that one as well. Let me go and get you the times on these, because like I mentioned, these were literally just issued. So Cook and Denton County, severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. And then we've also got the southern storm, which is a little more mature, Parker and Wise County, until 3 p.m. So this is a storm in Parker. Really, this is in Wise County now, right? I mean, it's going to be moving up towards Bridgeport, really on the far western sides of Decatur. And like I mentioned, we're watching these, again, any for rotation with these as well. But right now, the primary concern, it is extremely large hail. That again, we may be talking about hail larger than golf balls. What I want to do, let's go and take a look at the hail core tracker first of all. Then again, we'll take a look at some live video from these cells. And as we do that, let's go and just sample this first of all. And right now we're getting the indication. The Weather Service warned these for ping pong ball size hail. Right now radar estimating somewhere around $50 size, give or take. But again, I can tell you these hail cores, they are continuing to mature. Just for the heck of it here, let's go and look at the reflectivity and the velocities within here as well. Again, you can see there's just broad shear, nothing that's tight, nothing that would be concerning at this very juncture. Of course, all of this activity as we go through the day, one of the things we're going to be looking for is any signs of rotation, anything that could be concerning. Right now, that's not the case with this one. Just to do our due diligence, here's the shear rate. And again, this is just a computer algorithm. Again, anytime you're kind of in the green or kind of the smattering of lighter green, that's letting us know there's some broad shear, nothing concerning at this juncture. But what it's going to do, that broad shear, it's going to continue to maximize that hail core. So again, early in the day, over the next few hours, I primarily think we're going to be at this stage, right? I mean, we're going to have some broad shear, and again, we're going to have an opportunity of, again, some larger hail as well. This is what I want to do. I want to start with this southern storm, and what I want to do, I want to come over to Ethan. I know he's out there in the area, and looks like maybe his video froze for just 1 second. Ethan, let me know if you're on the live line with us. I'm not sure if you're frozen up out there, but if you're on the line here with us as well, go ahead and give us an update. I think you're kind of right there in the mix on that one. If not, I know Jackson is out there as well. But Ethan, tell us where you are right now and give us an update. Hey, Ethan, we may have to check back with you. Your audio's very weak. Your audio's weak, and it looks like you're kind of frozen up. So I'm not sure. Let's go over to Jackson. I believe he's there as well. And we'll take a look at his video. So we've got Jackson's video coming in, and let's go ahead. Let's talk to Jackson here. Jackson, looks like you're in hot pursuit there of something. Tell us where you are exactly, and go ahead and give us an update. I believe you're on this southerly storm. Is that correct?
Yes, we are about 5 to 7 miles south of Decatur. We're trying to find a place to pull over. Actually, it looks like we've just found one. We're going to see if we can get a good view of this real quick. Yeah, so we're...
Okay. Yeah, we're looking up in there. There's a lot of precip in there for sure. Of course, the one thing we're looking for, obviously, is the hail core number one. And again, you can kind of see that off-hue blue. The off-hue blue, that's very indicative of a hail core that's maximizing. Are you looking back down to the southwest, Jackson? Is that where we're looking from your vantage point?
Yes, we're looking west southwest right now.
Okay, perfect.
We're trying to see if we can get a view of the base, but we can't right now.
I'm telling you, it's going to be nothing but rain. I mean, it's coming in your direction. Eventually, you'll be able to get a clean look at kind of that hook on the back side there. But that's a big hail core. If you're in Decatur, the main hail core should stay just to your west. So that right there looks okay. But that blue hue we're seeing back there, that would be indicative of a hail core. And like I mentioned, for the friends right now in the Bridgeport area, friends, family, relatives out there, again, heads up, because there is definitely a hail core coming through up to the size of ping pong balls possible. It looks like it may kind of graze the far western sides of Decatur, but then truly it's going to continue the way it looks right now, lifting off to the north. So we're going to check back with your shot. Again, we've got Jackson on that one right there. Again, he's got eyes on that, right? So again, he's in Decatur. You can see the main hail core to his west, and again, that's just going to kind of graze, if you will, his location, but it's all that precipitation that's back in there. I want to come to the north because I know Brian Milland, he's got eyes on this storm to the north that's moving up towards Valley View. And it's a similar story with this one as well, right? We're mainly concerned about hail. And again, where you're seeing the area of, darker black showing up, that's normally indicative of a pretty decent little hail core. Right now, the computer not overly excited about these. It's mainly showing an opportunity of quarter-size hail. I want to do this. I want to come over to Brian's shot, and yeah, Brian's looking at it. Brian, looks like you're right there on 35. Tell us where you are, Brian. The way it looks right now, Brian, this one may track right up towards the Valley View area, again with that opportunity of some quarter-size hail. But Brian, tell us where you are now and go ahead and give us a live report.
Sure, I'm currently on 35 North, just about 2 or 3 miles south, south of Sanger. And I'm actually going to pull over because I do have a lorry in here that's coming out.
And we're looking at it carefully from here too.
I don't know. I'll try to get to a point to it if I can.
It looks like it's right in the center of your screen, Brian. I mean, I'm seeing it from here too, and it's a real opaque lowering, but I can see it from here in the center of your screen as well. Let me do this. We're going to hit velocities here on radar, and like I mentioned, sometimes things move fairly quickly. I'm not getting an overly impressive velocity signature here of anything that would be overly concerning right now, but we do see it in the center of your screen. Brian, as that's coming within range, let's go and take a look at this, because this you can actually see a little bit of a base coming in there. And we're going to look at this a different way. We're not going to look at it that way. Hold on one second here. This is what we want to do. Well, we may use that. Okay, we may go ahead and use that, but that's fine. What we're looking at is the base, and it's literally right in here. This is what Brian is talking about, right? You can see the base right there, and again, it's really hard to make out. Brian, are you seeing anything within that base?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a darker lowering in there.
I see it right in there too. Yeah.
And it's like a little nipple coming out.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly the way to put it. I mean, that really is it. I'm not seeing anything overly impressive right now in velocities on radar, but it's worth watching, right? I mean, that's going to be the thing of the day. All of this activity is 100% going to be worth watching, and especially the deeper we get into the day as well. I'm going to switch back over to radar just quickly here, Brian, and then we're also going to go back down south. And again, we're going to talk to Ethan. We're going to talk to Jackson as well in that southerly storm. This one, it still looks a little messy, but it's got a very well-defined hail core. And in fact, let's go back over to Hail Core Tracker here, and we'll take a look at local hail with this one. And I tell you, even though the structure of these look overly impressive on radar, so far the hail cores themselves have not jumped up, at least on radar, right? I mean, the radar is not jumping up and down about these quite yet. But again, from what we're seeing here, there would still at least be an opportunity. And let's go and take that back, actually. What we're seeing here, there's at least an opportunity of some quarters, maybe some half dollars, right? So if you're in the Valley View area, heads up, some quarters, some half dollars, again, possible moving in your area. But this storm is definitely worth watching. In fact, you can even see the centrifuge effect. Hey, Brian, on this one, I think really what we're seeing here, this is a centrifuge effect. Take a look at this. I want to illustrate this with the telestrator, right? And so let me go ahead and switch this around here. And again, as we do this, let's see if we can actually use the telestrator with this thing. We'll try this one more time, and if not, that's fine. There's a bit of a centrifuge effect coming around on this one, right? And really, it's hard to show from here. Let me do this. We're just going to, like I said, we just kind of jumped on the air, so we're just kind of doing all kinds of stuff, but I'm just going to open this up, and we're just going to use this here and do it this way. But this is what I'm talking about, right? You can see the inflow coming in, right? You can kind of see that little notch. You can kind of see the weak echo area of the inflow coming in. This would be the hail core here, and again, all the hail and the heavy rain is being spun back around here. So we're getting a real centrifuge effect developing, and that does one of two things. Number one, it can go on to produce really large hail, right? So we're already beginning to see the signs of that. And again, with the environment today, again, not that this one right now poses an immediate tornado concern, but that doesn't mean that as we go forward in time, there may not be something that goes on to develop with this one. Now, the good news is this one is essentially up along the Red River Valley. It's moving into Cook County, and again, sooner rather than later, this one is going to be moving up towards the Red River, right? So we've got eyes on that. Brian is there. Centrifuge effect developing with that one for sure. Let's come back down to this one. And again, severe thunderstorm warning continues here for Wise County. This is until 3 p.m. Similar story. Right now, we're mainly concerned about hail with this one. And there's the hail core. Again, the computer not going crazy with this, right? I mean, it's still showing some quarters to maybe half dollars. The Weather Service had warned on this one for an opportunity of up to ping pong ball size hail. Just looking at this one offhand, again, this one not really overly jumping up and down with that. Hey, Ethan, if you're still on there, you need to check your shot. You're just frozen up for some reason. Ethan, you're frozen. We're back to Jackson's shot, and again, he's looking at this cell. Again, there, he's indicator looking southwest at it. It's a pretty wide hail core, Jackson. It's wide geographically speaking, but it still appears as though we're mainly in the quarter to possibly half dollar range. We're looking at your shot. Go ahead and give us a live update from what you're seeing from Decatur looking southwest into the cell.
Yeah, we had a bit of a base that we saw there for just a minute, but it looks like it's getting there's just rain falling in it right now, so we don't have as much of a view on it right now. But we're gonna try and go south, make a U-turn, and then go back north and see if we can get a shot if it starts to do anything.
Okay, and I think we've got Ethan's. I think Ethan's got his shot back up. I think you guys are both kind of right there. Again, Brian Milan, he's on the northerly storm. So again, we've got both of these covered. But I do want to check in with Ethan because I believe he's either right there or he's on the northern fringes of it. Ethan, we've got your shot up now, and go ahead and tell us exactly where you are, and also go ahead and give us a live report from there as well. And we may or may not have Ethan's audio. I'm not hearing him. Ethan, we've got your video. You're there, so you may double check your audio. I know it sounds like you were maybe having a little glitch or something there, but if you can, double check your audio. I think we've got it now. Ethan, go ahead. Tell us where you are.
Okay, I am on road 920.
Okay, and Ethan's right now, he's just a little too rural. I mean, he's just out there, I think, on a really rural road. We're just having trouble. We're going to go back over to radar. Jackson's there. Again, we're still looking at Jackson's shot as well. Ethan, we're going to check back in with you. I think we're really just having trouble making contact with you there. Again, it's just a little too rural, right? So again, we've got Jackson. He's got eyes on it. That's his shot there. And again, we've also got Brian on the northerly storm, right? So he's got eyes on that storm as well. And again, the storm to the north, there's a little bit still of a centrifuge effect, Brian. We've got your shot, but I want to come back over to radar. Again, we love looking at all the live video here, but I want to keep all of this in a perspective if you're just now joining us here on Weather Tracker TV on what's going on radar as well. So let's go and switch back over here. And the bottom line is, as we kind of take a look at the wide view, for most of North Texas, things are fairly quiet right now, right? Here, specifically in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, it's quiet. We will have an opportunity of severe weather moving in later today, right? So again, as it's going on 2:30 now on this Thursday, again, you need to have your severe weather safety plan ready here in the immediate Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, especially after 4 p.m. We're going to have what may be 2 opportunities of storms coming through late afternoon into the evening. We're getting the initial storms developing now. This is along kind of a stationary boundary / warm front. This was anticipated a few storms early. The Storm Prediction Center has now issued a severe thunderstorm watch, mainly for our northwestern counties. That's indicative of an opportunity of larger hail. The initial concern is larger hail. That's what we're seeing developing out of these 2 supercells. I can tell you, as we go through the day and as we get into the evening, the opportunity of, again, hail, wind, and unfortunately, tornadoes will be in the forecast, and I am anticipating a tornado watch, maybe even a larger tornado watch, being issued for most of our area a little bit later on this afternoon. Okay, so right now in the Metroplex, it's quiet. Stuff off to the northwest. Again, both of these quite severe, right? Both of these hailstorms / supercells. Again, we've got 3 storm trackers surrounding all of these, and again, we'll have storm trackers on everything again as we go through the evening, right? So that's kind of the setup. Now, number one, what I want to do, we just looked at Jackson and Ethan's video on the southerly storm there in parts of Wise County. This cell is now moving up into parts of Cook County. This is a different storm, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning on this one. Now, this is primarily going to be for parts of Cook County, and again, the warning on this one will be until 3:15. One is at the mid-levels, showing more in the way of rotation. It's a broad rotation. There's nothing working its way down from cloud base, but this one is spinning like a top. Kind of the structure of this storm, it's got the centrifuge effect, and this one may go on, if nothing else, to be a big-time hail producer, and it's kind of young right now in its life cycle, if you will. I want to come back over to the hail core tracker. And again, even though the computer, it has not been jumping up and down about these, the Weather Service has been warning these for an opportunity of some ping pong ball size hail. I think that's within the realm of possibilities. Quarters, half dollars, up to the size of ping pong balls. Again, I don't think is impossible. I want to look at velocities, then we'll look at Brian's live shot. As we're looking at the low level velocities here, right now everything looks clean, right? We know, as we've been talking about, the main concern early on would be hail, right? So we're not really anticipating much concern at the lower levels of this storm, right? Lower level rotation. We're not that concerned initially today. We'll become a little more concerned about that as the day rolls along, but we're going to do our due diligence. Each of these, of course, we're going to be checking that. We'll also go and take a look here at the shear rate. Again, just making sure there's nothing out of the ordinary. This here still looks pretty clean as well. Now what we need to do here is we need to take a look at Brian's shot. So he's sitting there on I-35, and Brian, you'll have to tell us again exactly where you are, but you've got a clean shot of the storm. And again, we saw just the base, again, with that mid-level area of rotation, the centrifuge effect with this one. Again, earlier in your shot, we kind of saw the base. Again, it was really nothing concerning other than it, again, will probably go on to be a pretty efficient hail producer. But again, as you're really looking at this one, and you have been now for the last 30 minutes or so, give us an update and tell us what you're seeing on this storm.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, William. Hail producer does have a lot of rotation at the very high levels of the storm, but that tells you it is going to produce some really big hail, and people in the area should be ready for that hail to hit them. Otherwise, the storm is racing off to the northeast at what, 35 to 45 miles an hour, and I am still sitting right at Sanger. Back to you, William.
Okay, Brian, and yeah, you've got eyes on that storm. So we're going to continue to check in with Brian and again, like I said, and the rest of our team of storm trackers again out there as well. But again, Brian Milan, really appreciate that update. And this is, I'm just looking at some new information coming in here as well. So here's what we want to do. We want to go and switch back over to radar. And we're just going to back this out. So right now we've got two storms, essentially. We've got two cells, and again, both of these supercells, right? Both of these supercellular in nature. And again, we're watching new activity, trying, in fact, to develop out around the Weatherford area as well. We've also got some things out around Peakey Lake, out there around Possum Kingdom Lake, again, kind of bubbling. So, right, any of this activity early on could bubble up. And again, if it does bubble up, it's going to be supercellular in nature, right? So that's one of the things that, again, we're going to be watching for. I've mentioned it a couple times, at least over the next hour or two. The primary concern, it is going to be an opportunity of larger hail, right? But as we go through the evening, hail, wind, all of those things will be a concern. And then, you know, eventually, we always hate to say it, but we are going to mix in some type of a tornado potential as well. But again, these are pretty classic looking supercells. I can tell you that right now. And that one to the north, the one that, again, Brian is looking at up there, again, absolutely just really has that centrifuge effect. In fact, let me go ahead and do one more thing. And again, Brian's got a shot of it. We're going to check back in with Brian coming up momentarily. Again, we've got Jackson, we've got Ethan also on the southerly storms that, again, we'll be talking with them again coming up momentarily. But this is the other thing I want to do here. And we're just looking at some new information coming in, and again, watching from anything new from the Weather Service as well. So bear with me just one second here while I'm kind of multitasking as well. Let's do this. Let's go back down to that southerly storm, and I'm just looking at some new information coming in. This is around the Bridgeport area. It's going to be near and moving on the northern sides now of Decatur. The area spin on this one, Jackson and Ethan both, has really begun to come up. And let me go ahead and switch over to velocities. Let me go and switch over to velocities. And I tell you what, guys, the area spin on this one is trying to work its way down just a little bit. And we're trying to see what the weather is talking about on this one here. There's not a lot of indication right now from them. And like I said, I'm just looking at a lot of new information coming in. But guys, you're there, and we're going to check with your video here as well. But I can tell you, just on the northern sides of Decatur, there's a pretty vigorous area spin now showing up on radar. Jackson, let's go ahead and take a look at your shot. And we'll come over to Jackson's shot. And as we do that, let's do this. And we've got somebody. Jackson, is that you? Go ahead.
William, we have a developing wall cloud here, just to the east of Decatur. We have eyes on it from northern New Fairview.
Okay, we're trying to get over to your shot here as well, Jackson. Give us 1 second. We're going to get your shot pulled up. We're seeing it on radar as well. We are seeing it here on radar as well. So give us 1 second. We're going to get the shot pulled up. And like I said, just kind of bear with us. We're just kind of multitasking here on multiple things. We're just kind of getting going. So like I said, bear with us for 1 second. But there's your shot. Let's go and take a look at this. And there it is. Yeah, let's go and take a look in there. Jackson, go ahead and talk to us again about that. It's a broad area spin, but it's tightened up. It's actually tightening up right now on the northern sides of Decatur. Tell us where you are again, and again, tell me what you're seeing right now.
We are in New Fairview right now. We are on the northern side. We're on 287, looking north along. There's a small little road here called Latham Lane. We're looking at it from there. We have eyes on it right there. I'm not sure what else to say, but the inflow is absolutely ripping into this storm.
And it looks like I can see the scud clouds coming in from here as well. It's pretty diffuse, I can tell you. It's pretty. If you guys can hold the shot, we're going to look at Ethan's shot coming up as well because he's right there too. But I mean, I can see just from here, I can see the scud cloud motion coming in, and this looks like. Jackson, tell me if I'm seeing this correctly because I'm looking at this. I mean, we've got a stacked bell. I mean, I can actually see it now. I'm coming out here looking, you know, on a larger screen compared to in there. This is a stacked bell, right? So we've got the base, and then we've got the bell structure, and in fact, it looks like we've got striations. We've got pancakes stacking. Am I seeing that correctly from where I am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, this thing is wrapped up fairly quickly. Now, the thing is, what we're going to be watching for, it's going to be right back over in there, right? So there's the actual wall cloud trying to develop. There's the inflow, the scud cloud trying to come into it. It's a hard shot right there, Jackson, because you've got some trees. Can you see anything through the tree line at all?
No, sir. Unfortunately, I cannot. But I do see that there's that horseshoe mesocyclone with on the northern side. You can see
right
where exactly the rotation would be.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to make it out through the tree line, and there, it's your shot's getting a little bit better there as well. It was a little bit hazy, but again, we've definitely got that bell stacked. Like I said, I couldn't really see that a minute ago in your shot, just looking from a smaller screen in here. But again, yeah, this one, it's not real well put together. It's not real well put together, but there's definitely some spin now, and that's going to be the deal. You know, we can have mesocyclones that just go on to produce big hail, right? We all understand that. They can go on to produce big hail, and there's not always an immediate, tornado concern with those, right? But on a day like today, it is something we need to keep our eye on. I just want to look at the spin rate. I'm looking at Ethan's shot as well. Ethan, I know you're stuck in traffic, but I want to get to you. It's still broad, but there's fingers of velocity that are trying to come together here, Jackson. And I'm telling you, the spin rate now getting a little more excited about this as well. We don't want to get too excited, but I'm telling you, this one is beginning to spin just a little bit more. And the good news is it's going into a really rural area. If you remember, I believe it was this last fall when Decatur had their tornado, it was a very similar situation where it crossed over 380. This is not a tornado, obviously, but this area is spin. It's a pretty tight area of spin right now that, again, is moving right through there. I want to go back to your shot. And again, we'll get Ethan. Ethan, let's look at your shot too here just real quick. I'm not totally sure where you are. I know you're involved in a lot of rain. Ethan, I believe you're on the live line here again with us. Tell us, and I think every time we come to you, we lose you. Tell us where you are exactly now. And again, right now, the way it looks north of Decatur, north of 380, we have a pretty tight little area. We've got some fingers trying to come together up there. Where are you now? And then we'll get back to Jackson's shot as well. Go ahead. And do we have Ethan? Okay, I don't think we do. Ethan, you may check your audio. We've got your video. We may check your audio if you're there. Okay, Ethan, go ahead. Go ahead now. Ethan, go ahead. We've got your audio now. Go ahead. Okay.
Okay. East of, I'm just east of Bridgeport, trying to dive east right now. There was definitely some organized rotation just north of Poolville, which was south of Bridgeport. That was earlier. And now I'm just trying to get east to get eyes on this storm again. So I'm not seeing much right now. About 8 minutes or so, I'll get a good eye on it.
You're going to be right back up there in a position. We're going to check back in with Ethan. Jackson is right there. We're going to look at that northern storm with Brian coming up momentarily as well. It's a good shot you're getting there, Jackson. We're seeing that real clear now from here. Again, it's a broad rotation. We're still not really jumping up and down about it, but let me show you radar real quick, and then we'll come back over to Jackson's shot. But let's go and just take a quick peek at radar. And it's just the small little finger that again is trying to come together. And like I mentioned, we're going to be dealing with a lot of these little kind of quasi couplets, at least as we go through the day, right? And a lot of times they'll just go on to be a hail producer, but it's that little area, right? There's two little fingers coming together. It's not well put together, right? But there's just some broad shear. And again, we're seeing it, number one, on the structure of the storm, right? We're seeing the bell-shaped mesocyclone. Again, we're seeing the inflow coming into it. It's got a pretty decent little hook on it. And again, at the same time, it's going on to potentially produce some larger hail as well. So that right now is the immediate concern with this. Let's go. Yeah, Jackson, we've got you on the line there. Go ahead. Let's take a look at your shot. And go ahead and give us an update.
Yep. We are approaching the storm. We are probably going to take Farm to Market 4021. That is an east to west road. We're probably going to head east on that and see if we can get over to Farm to Market 2264 to get closer to this thing. But this thing is an absolute beast right now. Look at that.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, I mean, the hail core on this, and I just want to stick with your shot for a second. I just want to look at the hail core. Tornado Watch Box is about to be coming out as well. Okay, so we've got that information coming out as we were indicating earlier. New tornado watch is about to come out, and this will be semi-soon, okay, within the next hour. The Storm Prediction Center, they're now tabulating that up. But this is what I want to do. Just while we're holding your shot, I do want to look here at the hail core tracker. And man, you know, I tell you, the NexRad is just not. I hate to disagree with the NexRad, but I mean, right now the NexRad is just not jumping up and down about this hail core. It's still really estimating some quarters, maybe some half dollars. I would probably make the argument the hail core is probably a little bit bigger than that. I would make the argument the hail core is probably a little bit bigger than that. Now, the hail core is really beginning to organize there to the north as well. Now, that cell's heading up towards Whitesboro. We're going to check back in with Brian, but I think Brian's going to let that one go, right? That's just going to head on up towards Texoma and eventually kind of out of our coverage area. We're keeping eyes on that, but we're truly anticipating some additional activity, some higher end activity, again, developing closer to the Metroplex that we do want to keep our eye on as well. And again, Jackson, we're just looking at your shot, and I'm looking at some new data coming in as well. And these are going to be some tough storms. We can see the striations from here. I can definitely see the striations there. Right now, there's broad spin. There's no immediate tornado concern. But again, these are going on to be pretty efficient hail producers. Let's do this. I want to come back to the northern storm. And Jackson, if anything changes on that one that you have a visual on, let us know, please, right away. I want to do this. This is the northern storm. This is where Brian is. Brian, that one's beginning to pull off. We're going to take a look at radar on that one as well. But you've been looking at that one, and I would imagine you're just going to let that one go off to the north, and we're going to begin to kind of look back down to the south.
That is correct. It is pulling off to the northeast pretty rapidly. And I'm just away from the other storm coming up behind me that these other guys are on.
And go ahead. And I'm sorry, Brian. I was looking at something else. So yeah, and so there's that other one coming up from behind you. So you're kind of caught between both of them right now. This one again is basically going to lift on up towards Texoma. We're going to kind of let that one go, so to speak. The other one to the south, gang, I tell you what, it's developing a stinger hook on it. And I want to take one more look at this. And Jackson, this is a big heads up for you. Brian, we're going to check back in with you momentarily. If anything changes with that one, let us know. Again, you're kind of letting that one go. And again, our eyes are going to start turning a little bit further back down to the south. Okay, so this is the one. It's moving into the Whitesboro area. The computer now beginning to estimate there could be larger than ping pong ball size hail on the eastern sides of Gainesville. That is moving directly up into parts of Texoma land. Okay, moving directly up into parts of Texoma land. Heads up on that. Pancake supercell now north of Decatur. It's got a stinger hook on the back side of it. The hail sizes on this one now beginning to come up as well. Again, that's where we have Jackson. That's also where we have Ethan on that storm there. But again, just looking at that on radar, especially with that little stinger hook there coming back around on the back side, this one may only be a hail producer, but I do think that we need to keep eyes on this one as well. Let me go and center this up. And like I mentioned, we're going to check back in with Jackson and with Ethan both on this. And man, I tell you what, you can just see that hail core, obviously the black going to white showing up there. And again, this is a pretty decent, I tell you, Jackson, this one, even on our last scan here, that stinger hook continues to kind of ramp up just a little bit. I want to look at Jackson's video again. And again, he's right there north of Decatur. We're getting a little bit of a vortex indicator on radar. That doesn't always mean anything. The velocities are still really rough. But we're looking at, this is the bell, right? So you can see the stacked pancakes here, and we apologize for the shot there. They're driving, they're trying to keep the shot. This is a tight bell, right? So you can actually see the bell going up. There's the base. Those are the striations. The striations are indicative of circulation. This is a mean supercell. I mean, this really is. This is a mean supercell. May just be a hail producer, but I tell you what, this one is morphing fast enough that I really do think we need to keep our eyes on it. Jackson, go ahead. We've got your audio here. Tell us what you're seeing on that cell. And we may have briefly lost them. I mean, they're just in such a rural area there. We may have briefly lost Jackson. And again, if so, we'll get right back to him. We'll see if that kicks back in here momentarily. But we may have briefly lost him. Like I mentioned, when you're in a really rural area, as you know, that can happen. I want to look at velocities on this one again. And let's see if there's any new indication here from the Weather Service. I know they're monitoring all of this as well. We've just got his video back in. And let's see, so the very latest is, again, we're still continuing to anticipate this new tornado watch that the Storm Prediction Center is now figuring and tabulating together. And again, we're just taking a look at this here. And again, just looking at anything new coming in. This is the broad rotation that he's looking at. It's still on the northern sides of Decatur. And again, right now it's still, let's go back over here to the spin rate. Hey, Jackson, we've got your video. I know it's still a little intermittent. Go ahead, if we've got your audio back, and I know there's a tree line there, so it's almost a little spooky to look at your shot there. Obviously, trees just haven't bloomed or budded out there yet. But Jackson, tell us what you're seeing if we have you on the audio there. If not, we'll switch and we'll come back over to radar. But if you're there, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
We got you. Go ahead, man.
All right. We noticed rapid motion feeding into this thing, and looking on radar, it looks like there actually is a bit of a hook developing on it. So I'm trying to capture this right now. My dad's
Okay, and we're going to check back with him. You know, and it just happens when you're in a really rural area. Sometimes you're just it's hard to keep the audio going. Let's see. So right now, the Weather Service, the cell that Jackson and Ethan, they're both on these, and this may even be a heads up for Brian. I think Brian may be kind of heading maybe further back south. This cell is beginning to turn a little more right. Okay, it's beginning to kind of vector here to the right. So let's go and take a look at this here. And it may try and come more into Denton County. The hook is recycled. Let me tell you this real quick, Jackson. The hook is recycled. And Brian, this may even be important for you. Brian, I'm not sure where you are along 35. We'll need to talk to Brian again here as well. Brian, if you're south of the Sanger exit still, I would hang tight. The hook is recycled to the south. The stinger hook we've lost. We've got a real hook now beginning to come back around, and it's now anchoring, and it's turning a little bit more to the right. It's vectoring to the right. Let's see where Brian is. Again, if he is north or south, if he's right there around the Sanger area, you may want to hold tight because that again, it is turning a little more right. Brian, where are you at right now? Brian, if we have Brian.
Okay, I'm at exit 47795. I'm going to turn around and look into the storm. I should be able to see something.
I think so. Yeah, if you're right there on 35,
you know
that hook is really recycled quickly. We have the stinger on the back side of it. The new hook is recycled. I know Jackson is right there. We've got Ethan as well. I believe Ethan is on the back end of this, and Jackson's got a pretty good shot. But Brian, it's going to be approaching 35. So if you're near Sanger, just a northerly shot in the next 5 to 10 minutes would not be bad. I can tell you that right now. I'm looking at a few new products here on a few different products.
I'm going to give you a great shot.
Say that again.
I'm going to give you a great shot of the.
Okay, and I think we lost Brian. Brian said he's going to get a good shot. He's right there on 35. It's going to cross right in front of him. Jackson is right there as well. I'm looking on radar here. Give me 1 second. I just want to look at the velocities here. It's still pretty raggedy on velocities, to be honest with you, right? As we're just looking at velocities here, the area spin is there, but it's raggedy, right? The structure of the storm is definitely there, right? So a lot of times the structure of the storm is more indicative of what's happening at the mid-levels and not necessarily at the surface, right? So at the mid-levels, we have a fairly vigorous mesocyclone. We're going to show you that again with Jackson's shot, right? You can see the bell structure we've been talking about. The bell structure with the mesocyclone, it's very typical, but that doesn't always translate to any more of a concern other than hail. Right now, the concern we have is hail. On a day like today, again, a tornado watch is about to be issued. The concern for any type of tornadic activity, we always hate to say it, but I mean, truly, it is going to be increasing as we go through the afternoon into the evening. But right now, the velocities I'm looking at here, because we can look at different levels of the storm, these are low-level velocities here, and right now, it's a very disorganized area spin, right? So even though we're going to look at the video again, and it's going to look pretty impressive if you're just looking at it from the naked eye, the immediate truth based off of the data coming in here on the NexRad is that right now everything is truly at the mid-levels. So Jackson, there's your shot again. We're looking at it. We've got you on the line here. Go ahead and tell us where you are now, and again, go ahead and give us another update on this cell.
Yeah, we're about we're a few miles southeast of Decatur. We're
and we may have lost him. We may have lost them momentarily. If we did, we'll come back. Like I said, it's just one of those deals. Whenever we're rural, it happens, right? And when you're on, out in Farm Road, just like everyone understands, we may have his audio back. Jackson, we may have you back. If you're back, go ahead. If not, we'll come back over to radar.
Hey, can you hear me?
I've got you. Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead.
All right. It appears that wall cloud is slightly gusting out for the meanwhile. But I would still keep an eye on this thing, as it does appear to does appear to be developing more.
Yeah, I mean, on radar, it's just, and again, we're still really kind of fixating here on the mid-levels, but even our spin rate is beginning to kind of jump up and down on this just a little bit more, right? So we know we've got an opportunity of some big hail. Right now, that's our primary concern. But even as we look at the velocities, it's a really broad area, and you can see it now on this last sweep. This is a really broad area, right? So the radar site is down south of Fort Worth, right? So the red, you can see it coming in and spinning around with the green, right? You can just see that wide area. This is a very broad area spin. This is nowhere near tight. This is nowhere near concerning right now. This could go on to produce some really big hail, right? So again, you're seeing the red, the wide area of red. That's again northern, and there it is right there. But it's tightened up a little bit. That last sweep, it has tightened up a little bit, and this is moving. This is vectoring more towards Sanger. Okay, we need to keep our eye on that one. You saw it tighten up just a little bit, right? So again, wind away from the radar, green, wind around. It's not tight, but it did tighten up just a little bit just now in front of us. Okay, so let's keep our eye on that. I want to come back over to the spin rate. Let's see if we've got Jackson's video still up. And I know Ethan is coming in from the back, but I think Jackson is right there in front of it. And we're going to check in with Brian. I think Brian, as this begins to cross 35, Brian should be able to look north and northwest as that's coming in. We can still see the base. I mean, we can still see the striations, Jackson, but looking at your shot there, it still doesn't appear as though anything really crazy is sticking out, right? I mean, on radar, the last sweep on radar is the most impressive it's looked, but it's still not overly impressive as far as low-level spin, right? But again, what are you seeing from your vantage point?
Yeah, we can't really see much right now because it does look like it is slightly escaping us. There's not really many roads out here that we can take because the closest road that we can take, I guess we could go north, but this road does bend back to 287, so there's not many roads that we can take to get us up there, so we're losing visual on this pretty fast.
Yeah, and it's one of those deals, and we don't want you to get too rural because, we'll just, we'll lose the video and everything. This is worth watching, and Brian's also on the easterly fringes of this as well. In fact, let's look at Brian's video. This should be coming into within range of Brian, and we've got something new coming out I'm going to look at here. This will be the tornado watch. Before we go to Brian, this is going to be the new tornado watch that's coming out. And look, Brian, I think your video, I think we've got to hit the focus on it. That's okay for right now. I think your video just for some reason went out of focus. But Brian is right there. He's looking at it. While this tornado watch is coming in, we're going to populate this. Brian, go ahead and give us a live report from your vantage point. Tell us where you are. And again, go ahead and give us an update.
Yeah, I'm at the first exit here in Sanger, exit 477. And I'm up on the bridge looking to the southwest, and I see the storm coming in. I do see a lot of scud hanging down.
Okay, and we may have just lost Brian there just momentarily as well. Let's look at Jackson's video. Then we're going to look also at, and I think we just got Brian as soon as I said that. Yeah, we literally just got him back. Brian, go ahead. I'm sorry, I kind of interrupted you there. I think we briefly lost you, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually at exit 477, and I got up a storm. It's coming from the southwest, I should say. And I see the striations in the storm, and I see a lot of scud hanging down. But I've got a good vantage point as it comes into the center area, and I'll let you know if anything happens.
Okay, and Brian, you may check the focus on your camera real quick there too. I think we've lost the focus on it just momentarily. Quick check at Jackson's video, then I want to get back over to radar only for the fact this new tornado watch, like I mentioned, it is not right now, and so then we can give you a visual of that, right? So the activity we're dealing with right now, I mean, you hate to say it's kind of the pre-activity, but truly it is, right? Really, as we go through the day, what we're anticipating, unfortunately, is going to be a little more enhanced, and we've already got our hands full right now with 2 supercells. I mean, in most areas, that would be enough for them for a while, and this, again, is just kind of the first hour for us, so to speak, right? So we've got a lot going on here. Let me do this. Let me do this here. We're going to widen this out. In fact, we're going to take radar, and again, we're going to widen this out. So there's the cell we've been looking at, but here's what I want to do. Let's just kind of zoom this out, and we'll put this back into normal radar mode. I just want to kind of reset everything for those of you that may just now be joining us and again wondering what's going on. There's the new tornado watch. Let me pause this, and the timeline on that is going to be until 10 p.m. And that, again, you can see that does include most of North Texas. It does include all of the immediate Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And again, you see activity coming in already out there in the big country. That's the next true kind of wave of lift, if you will, that's going to be coming out. We may have some additional activity, though, continue to develop, but even ahead of that line as well. Right now, we've got these 2 supercells. They're north. This one is going to track deeper into Denton County. Again, on these cells up here, we've actually got 3 storm trackers up there on it. So we've got Brian, we've got Jackson, and we've got Ethan. I mean, so far this has been kind of the only show of the day so far. Again, they've got eyes on it. The southern one, the mid-level rotation is working its way down just some, right? The overall concern, at least earlier in the day, has been large hail, mesocyclones that are spinning, but large hail. That's kind of been the concern. But now, as we get deeper into the day, and especially as we go through the evening, one of the concerns was going to be the opportunity of a tornado potential as well. And because of that, again, our friends at the Storm Prediction Center, they've now issued this tornado watch, right? And again, like I mentioned, it's for most of North Texas, does include all of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and it is until 10 p.m. this evening. So the bottom line, again, as you're making your Thursday evening plans, again, you know where you're going to be, you know where the kids are going to be, you know where the spouse is going to be, you know whoever is going to be. Make sure everyone has their severe weather safety plan, right? Because things really, as we go through the evening, they really look pretty dicey, okay? An opportunity of big hail, an opportunity of wind, and again, obviously an opportunity of some tornadic activity as well. Okay, so please make sure you have that plan. And this is just kind of a simple taste of what can happen as we go through the remainder of the day. Again, just kind of this pre-activity there that is essentially kind of developed along the warm front, right? So the warm front activity, that will eventually kind of move on up into Oklahoma, and then the real dry line and Pacific cold front and the real storm system will begin to come in. And again, that's when things will become just a little bit different. We've got one other little cell we got to keep our eye on, which may try and come up. It's also moving into parts of Wise County. Right now, it's kind of a blip, so to speak. We'll keep our eye on that. For our friends southeast, there is some scattered showers and thunderstorms here. Right now, this is nothing major. We've got to keep our eyes even on this stuff, right? This is in the open, warm sector, and you know, sometimes this kind of stuff can enhance as well, but right now it's truly all about again, those 2 supercells up there to the north, and like I mentioned, those will kind of drift there through the Red River Valley, and I think potentially really cross up in Oklahoma, and again, kind of out of our area. I want to zoom back into those, and then again, I want to check in with our storm trackers up there as well. Now, quickly, the immediate concern in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is we're quiet right now. We do have the warning here for Denton County. And again, this is until 3:15. In fact, let me go and check that. The warning here on that is going to be until 3:45. So we've got the one warning for Denton County until 3:45, but it's going to be skirting mainly north of Denton proper, right? So we're talking about Denton County, but not necessarily the town of Denton, right? So from Denton over to McKinney in Collin County, all the way down into Dallas County, over into Tarrant County. Right now, the evening commute, we're keeping our eyes on it, but right now as we're beginning to get closer to the evening commute, things are mostly dry. Things are mostly behaved. You can see a little blip, if you will, down in Ellis County, north of Waxahachie. We'll keep our eye on that. A little blip there north of McKinney. And so again, any of this activity ahead of the main wave can still develop and can still enhance. And that was kind of, remember, as we've been talking throughout the day, these are just kind of the pre-storms. And I mean, it's just kind of a broad brush opportunity. There's going to be a more likely opportunity up there near the warm front. But again, even here in the open warm sector is what this is called. It's not impossible. So we're watching all of this. But again, truly, obviously what we're watching right now, again, is what is severe thunderstorm warned. And again, that would be until 3:45 there for the Denton area. Okay, so let me zoom this back in. And then we're going to check back in with our team of trackers. And this cell, again, it's turned just a little more easterly, right? It's vectoring easterly, but it's still kind of lifting off to the north. And this is going to be impacting the I-35 corridor from the Sanger exit back up towards Valley View. And I want to do two things here. I want to come back over to Brian's shot, number one, because I believe he's still sitting there on 35. And we're going to have to look at your video, Brian. You've got a great shot, but for some reason it's not in focus right now. And we can literally see, again, just from the vantage point, it's not really in focus for some reason. But again, we can see the base. We can see the base of this, and we've got Jackson's video. We'll be able to look at Jackson's coming up momentarily as well. But on the next break in between, Brian, you may look at your focus for some reason. It's just not in focus. I'm not sure. But go and give us a report. We're going to look at Jackson's video. We're going to check in with Ethan as well. But let's talk to Brian. I mean, he's on 35, literally looking at this. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, William, I'm actually on 35 up on top of the bridge at exit 477, looking directly into this storm, and it looks pretty healthy. We do see lowerings all over on the storm. We have a lot of scud rising, and it looks like it's really trying to get its act together even more. I do not see, I want to repeat that, I do not see any fingers hanging down that would threaten anybody with a tornado, but I do see the possibility of some very large hail.
Yeah, and it looks like that. I'm just looking at radar now, Brian, as well, and it really looks like that. Well, here's what I want to do. I also want to I want to take Ethan's shot here as well. Then we're going to get to Jackson. And Ethan, let us know where you are. I know you were on the back end of this. You were catching up. Again, tell us where you are right now, and go ahead and give us a live report.
All right, I am on road 380 heading east towards I-35, and I'm looking at the back side of this storm. Pretty healthy earlier, low level rotation, but that's not the case now. We've kind of lost that. I am looking at a very significant hail core, though.
Yeah, the hail core looks overly impressive here. Brian just got, his shot is now back in. And what I want to do, I want to look at Brian's shot here again. Brian, great job getting this shot. Like I mentioned, for a minute there, it was just kind of out of focus. We're going to look at Jackson's shot coming up as well. But again, yeah, this is great. This is really good here. And again, I mean, we're seeing the striations, we're seeing the base. But again, like you said, I mean, this looks pretty clean. And whenever you're seeing that blue hue, if you're looking at this through your screen at home or wherever, see this dark blue hue. It almost looks kind of purplish. That's hail. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're looking at. When you go from gray, right? Rain is gray. It's called gray out conditions. When you go from gray to the hue blue right there, it doesn't matter. You don't need radar. You don't need anything. You know that right there is hail. And again, this is a for sure hailstorm that again is moving through. But again, Brian, that's a great shot right there. That's a great shot. I want to come over to Jackson. He's right there as well. I know he's he's I believe still on the southern fringes. We're going to look at radar coming up as well. Again, just to kind of orient everything here on radar. Jackson, go ahead and tell us where you are right now. And again, go ahead and give us a live report as well.
We are in the middle of nowhere.
Okay. And I think we lost you. I think he said that he was making a joke, then I think we literally lost him. So we still see his video. They're in a really rural area, right? So what they're doing is they're trying to make their way over to 35. As you get into far northwestern Denton County, it's very rural, right? So you obviously see where he's driving through. Again, we've got friends, viewers, whatever through that area. We love all of them, of course, but it is very rural. And again, obviously sometimes the cell phone service is a little spotty through there as well. But again, like he mentioned, he's in a really open area. We've lost his audio. We've got his video still. He's just catching up to that cell. We'll keep our eye on it. But right now, Brian kind of has really, truly kind of the money shot there. I want to look at radar. Then we're going to come back over to Brian's shot as well. And let's go and take a look at this here. Brian, just a quick question there for you. That shot, that little, what appears to be the hail core that's moving across your screen, are you at the Sanger exit? Is that kind of looking off towards the northwest? And is that because the hail core is on the southern extent there, and it looks like that hail core is about to be crossing 35?
And it's moving pretty fast across me. I'm not going to get the hail, I don't believe. I'm going to get the winds. Actually, the winds are just starting to pick up now.
Yeah, it looks like that little hail core is about to be crossing 35. Let's go and look at radar again here. And literally, we've kind of seen that hail core literally cross right in front of them, and this is what we're talking about, right? So you can obviously see the black going to white. This would be an opportunity, potentially even up to the size of ping pong balls, right? So Brian's sitting back here on the interstate. He's looking back off to the north and to the northwest, and again, the darker blue hue I was talking about, that's literally crossing directly in front of him. So the hail is on the southern edge of this. Again, Brian's looking back up at this, and again, like I mentioned, Jackson's kind of on the backside coming in, and again, Jackson, just like I mentioned, just in a really rural area, but they'll be catching up and then kind of getting in more of a prime position coming up momentarily. But the other deal is, as these continue to move up towards the Red River Valley, we don't want our storm trackers to get all the way up there. You know, we need them to begin to kind of fan back down to the south, obviously, because we're going to have more coming in, more weather coming in, and the weather obviously later in the day could be a little more impactful as well. But again, this right now continues to be a really beefy supercell, and again, anytime you're on weather radar and you see black going to white, you know you've got a problem, right? And the problem currently is an opportunity of larger hail. So let's come over to the hail core tracker. And yeah, man, I tell you what, this thing is really ramped up with the hail. This could easily be in excess of ping pong balls. Earlier, the NextRad wasn't overly excited about this as far as hail sizes went, right? It was saying quarters, maybe half dollars. It's finally excited, right? So again, there's definitely an opportunity. If you're in the Sanger area, and in fact, if you're up 35, even as far to the north as the Valley View area, Lake Ray Roberts, of course, right back over in here, heads up. Again, this is big hail. Like this could even be larger than ping pong balls now as well, and that's going to be crossing 35. So again, if you know anyone that's driving up and down 35, literally right now, you need to let them know not only is there very heavy rain that's going to be moving through, but again, there's going to be an opportunity of some pretty big hail coming in there as well. We've got Brian. It maybe froze. I'm not totally sure if it is. We may have to come back to that. Like I mentioned, anytime these guys are a little bit rural, sometimes the video freezes up just a little bit. So we may come back to Brian's shot, and looks like we're going to have a new something coming out here. So let me go and take a look at this. And this will be a new warning. This will be for Cook and Grayson County. This will be a new warning for Cook and Grayson County. Let's go and take a look at that. And the Weather Service issuing that until 3:45. So let's come back over here. We've got to look at that spin one more time. And again, this is going to be the new warning here off to the north. And let me go ahead and resample this. This will be the new warning here off to the north until 3:45, right? This is basically moving up into Texoma. It's got a pretty decent little hook. I tell you, if you got any friends, family, loved ones who live up in the Texoma area or on Texoma, it's a pretty beefy supercell that's moving in up there as well. And so that continues to essentially lift out of our area. But again, technically, a new severe thunderstorm warning again for Cook and for Grayson County. And like I mentioned, that's going to be up in the Texoma area. And this is what we're trying to look at as radar. Again, you can see that secondary storm, this storm here. And again, if you can see the cursor, this storm here to the north, that again truly is about to cross up in Oklahoma. But again, regardless, Cook and Grayson County, new severe thunderstorm warning. And like I mentioned, that's going to be until 3:45 this afternoon. So we're tracking that carefully. We're also tracking this one back down to the south as well. And like I mentioned, we've got storm trackers on all of these. We're about to look at the video coming up again here momentarily. And then again, if you're just now joining us, we've also got the new tornado watch that is in effect for a large part of our area as well. So let me go and center the radar back up here. And here's what I want to do. Just want to look at velocities again. And it's becoming more balanced. I can tell you the area spin, guys, it's becoming more balanced, but it's not super tight, right? You can see the red and the green, right? They kind of look like equal, kind of little balls on both sides, but they're not ultra tight though. The tighter they get, it would be more concerning, but this is a pretty balanced mesocyclone. And again, balanced mesocyclone doesn't mean always that there's a tornado threat. A lot of times it just means it's a big hail threat, right? And that's truly what we're seeing. It just means the storm is prime. It's in good health right now, and again, it's just going on to be a pretty efficient hail producer. Now, if that were to get a little bit tighter, it would become a little concerning, but right now, this is a very well just balanced mesocyclone. Let's go and look at the spin rate. Now the spin rate, the computer has been, it's beginning to jump up and down a little bit about this, not so much into the yellow where it would become concerning, but we're starting to get a little bit of red. And the way this works, when you get green, that's the computer saying, hey, there's some shear, let's keep our eye on it. When you get into the red, the computer begins to say, hey, let's really start looking at this. There could be something going on. And the reason why we're getting into the red is just because we have that balanced mesocyclone. But again, as we were looking at the raw velocity data just moments ago, there's nothing again tight about this. It's a well-balanced mesocyclone, and again right now it's just a very efficient HEL producer. And again, as we look at the HEL core tracker, the next rad really beginning to get excited now about some of these HEL cores. Easily some ping pong balls, I think, associated with that. And again, even as we come back over to just kind of to live mode here, you can see as we were looking at the velocities, right, we were talking about how well balanced this was. So this is the inflow notch here, right? So this is where the storm is feeding. Remember the red we saw, that's when moving away from the radar. So there it is, it's feeding into it. It's got a nice little notch against kind of the mouth, right? Breathing in warm, moist air. And again, there's kind of the spin back around, right? And that's where the HEL core is kind of embedded within that mesocyclone. HEL sizes may have even went up just now around the Valley View area. We're going to check back in with our trackers. This is just right now, this is an efficient HEL producer. Normally if there was going to be more of a tornado threat or more of a concerning threat developing, a lot of times that HEL core will get pushed off to the north, and you'll have a more of an enhanced mesocyclone towards the bottom. I'm really not seeing that on the structure. It's a tornado watch that's in effect. We're going to continue to monitor this one very carefully, but right now the primary concern with this one, it's HEL. And I don't see that changing, at least in the near term. This could really go on to produce some big damaging hail. North of Sanger, the Valley View exit on 35, especially right now, and in fact all the way back over through Lake Ray Roberts, over through the Collinsville area as well. Here's what I want to do. We need to check in with some of our trackers. And before I do that, I just want to widen this out. Let's do our due diligence. Right now, there's nothing else going on in the immediate North Texas area. Tornado watch continues until 10 p.m. You can see it's truly out in the big country. This is now a developing broken line of supercells. You can see it. You can see the smattering of cells out there. And that's going to be the main storm system coming out later in the day, right? So if you're just now joining us, you're wondering what's going on. We've got these kind of pre-cells that we've been watching, right? Along the warm front. Yes, they're supercells. Right now it's a big hail threat. Okay, we've been monitoring those, but this isn't the show for today. This isn't the show for today. It's the main wave that's going to be coming out later. And again, right now we're still anticipating a broken line of supercells approaching from the west, turning into a squall line, again, as that does continue to push off to the east. So we've got really a long way to go as we go through the afternoon and again into the evening as well. So again, if you're getting ready for the evening commute, right now things are quiet in the Metroplex, but again, the deeper we get into the evening, big heads up on that. Okay, so let's check in with our team of trackers. Let's see what we have going on. I want to check in with Brian Milan here first of all. He's been kind of right up there on this one. Brian, tell us where you are. We've got your shot. We see you rocking and rolling there. Tell us where you are and give us a live report.
I'm actually headed back south out of Sanger. I let that storm go because it was taken off to my northeast.
Right.
So I'm back headed down south and gonna wait for the next round.
Okay. Yeah. I honestly, I think that's probably the smart move. I want to do this as well. I want to check in with Jackson. He was up there on it as well, and I know Jackson. It looks like you've got your reverse cam there going now. We're kind of looking, I think, at the back side of it. I know you were kind of battling through a pretty rural area. I mean, you did a great job as that cell was going through Wise County as it really began to at least exhibit some signs of rotation. I mean, you guys were right there on it. It looks like you finally got back to kind of a main road, so to speak. Tell us where you are now, and again, go ahead and give us an update. We'll also check in with Ethan coming up momentarily as well. I'm not sure if Ethan's video is moving, but let's talk to Jackson here. Go ahead and give us an update where you are now.
We are on 380 just east of Decatur. We are gonna head southwest, and we're gonna see if we can head down there for the second round.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty smart. And again, we for our friends up there in Cook County, we're still monitoring all of this as well. But even for you folks in Cook County, there's going to be a secondary wave coming in just a little bit later today as well. So again, truly just a lot going on. I don't think right now Ethan's video's moving, so we'll check in with Jackson. We checked in with Brian. They're kind of restaging now to watch some additional activity that again will be coming in from the west as we go through the evening. Okay, let's do this. And we'll check back in with Ethan coming up as well. But like I said, I think right now his video is frozen. Okay, let's come back over to radar. And let me go and lapse this. We'll roll this into motion. And again, great job to our storm trackers. It's not easy to do that, right? It's not easy to do that at all, especially report live, navigate, and again, especially in rural roads. I mean, we know here in the Metroplex it's a concrete jungle, but you get out to some of our more rural western counties or even eastern counties, and the roads become just a little more subject. Again, if you live out there, it's easy to navigate, but if you don't live out there, then it becomes a little more difficult. But again, great job again also getting the visuals on what was going on as well. So right now, this is truly the lone storm we're watching. This is currently in Cook County, probably going to vector over into parts of Grayson County, again also lifting up towards Texoma-land, over towards eventually, I would imagine, the Sherman-Denison area. So eyes on that. We've got some scattered showers though developing in fact here in the Dallas area. So in fact we're going to zoom in and take a look at that. The main warm front is off here to the north. That's where the main concern would be for the next couple of hours. Then again, you can see that wave coming in from the west is really beginning to accelerate. It's moving through the Abilene area right now out there through the big country. That's going to be coming in pretty quickly the way it looks right now. And again, other activity, again, you can see here, again, off to the southeast. Any of this activity we got to watch. Even though this looks just kind of showery-like, keep in mind, this is what we call the open warm sector, and it's never impossible, again, as you get an upper-level storm system approaching, that you also have some activity that tries to enhance in this as well. So we're going to keep our eye on that. But again, right now, again, the activity we've been tracking carefully continues to lift off to the north. And then again, we've got this pretty beefy line that's coming in. It's coming in pretty fast. It appears as though it's really beginning to pick up speed. Coming in from out there as well. Okay, let's do this. Let's come into Dallas County quickly here. And like I mentioned, just for the evening commute, we've got some showers around, a few pockets here of heavier rain. Right now, nothing severe, nothing that even looks remotely severe. But again, keep in mind, this is in the open, warm sector, and it's worth keeping our eyes on. Number two, it's worth watching because we're going on 3:20. Again, evening commute for some folks, maybe starting in the next 30 minutes or so. And again, some of the roads in Dallas County could be wet, and there could be a few pockets of heavier rain around as well, especially the way it looks right now over on the 635 LBJ, and we know a little bit of rain over there goes a long way, right, with causing some real slowdowns. Let's see, I'm just looking here at the weather wire here. Just looking at the weather wire for anything new. Right now, nothing out of the ordinary. Again, looking for any reports, just as we had been kind of covering those cells. I'm just looking to make sure there's nothing I missed here. And again, right now, nothing out of the ordinary that I'm seeing here, so just bear with me for 1 second, and that's okay. And we pretty much got what we needed off of that. So let me go and zoom this back out. And we'll come back up here to the north. Like I mentioned, our storm trackers for right now, they went ahead and broke off of this activity. And again, the main reason why is because we've got that next wave that's really coming in from the west, and we really need to put all eyes on that, right? So if you're up here in Collinsville, if you're up here in Whitesboro, over in the western portions of Grayson County, it's still a big heads up. This is a big hailstorm. It's a well-balanced mesocyclone. Right now, the main concern, it is an opportunity of again, larger hail, right? And so let me come back over here to the spin rate, and we'll take a look in this here, and we'll also go ahead and take a look at some of these raw velocities as well, is really what I'm trying to get to. And so it's still well balanced, right? So just as we look at this, I know whenever people see this, they think, well, what is this exactly, red and green, right? So again, red is wind moving away from the radar, green is back towards, and so we've still got, it's just a broad area spin. We're getting further away from the radar, so we're not going to get as clean of a depiction on this, but there's still just enough spin here that it's not an immediate tornado concern, but it's a hail producing concern, right? So whenever you're dealing with supercells, sometimes when you hear the term supercell or you hear the opportunity of spin, your immediate thought is, okay, there's a tornado potential, there's something tornadic happening. 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10 in North Texas, supercells, there's not really even necessarily a tornadic potential with them. It's the structure of the storm, it's the rotation, and it's the fact they're going to go on to produce some big hail. That's typically in North Texas what we see. There are other days where there is a tornado potential, and today truly is one of those days, right? The tornado potential through the day will be increasing, but at least right now, that's not necessarily where we are with this cell. It's just a well-balanced mesocyclone. Again, as we've said a couple times, it is a supercell, but right now, again, the primary concern, it is just larger hail. So let's come back over to the hail core tracker here. And again, as we do that, again, you can see, let's go ahead and kick this in. Still, I mean, man, oh man, look at this. I mean, right over and just north of Lake Ray Roberts. I mean, the next route is probably overestimating this a little bit. But again, if you're over in the Tioga area, back over through the Collinsville area, again, that's pushing into parts of Grayson County up there. This is really a big heads up. And those are pretty, small rural communities up there. But again, this is a really big heads up for you. And again, this also would be pushing right in there to parts of Texoma land as well. This is big hail, and there's no other way to put it. This is big hail, most likely larger than ping pong balls. And again, as you look at this hail core, right, it's not a small, okay, as you're looking geographically speaking, this is a pretty wide hail core. So again, this is a really big heads up. Rural community, rural friends here, maybe even as far north as the Whitesboro area, Grayson County here, Lake Texoma there, just off to the north. Again, big heads up on that hail core there coming in. Again, some of the video that Brian Milan, as he had earlier, I mean, you could really see, kind of hail hue, so to speak, right? The bluest hue, which is very indicative of hail, as this cross 35, again, just a little bit earlier today. So you can still see the hook there, and we say the hook right now loosely because this is basically, for lack of a better term, it's just kind of a mouth, right? It's open and it's breathing in that warm, moist air. Again, not because there's a tornadic concern with it, but because it's a well-balanced mesocyclone. This would be the inflow right there, and because it's balanced, because it's healthy, again, yes, you've got that big hail core that does continue. And right now, I would not anticipate anything changing with that as far as the hail potential goes with that cell. Again, as it does, again, continue to push over into parts of Grayson County. Okay, let me go and zoom this out. And we want to stick with this. Again, if you're just now joining us, our storm trackers that we've kind of had up there in the area on this, they're breaking kind of free from this activity. So we're not going to be going back to their live video for right now. They're heading back down south and to the southwest. And again, the main reason why we've got this next line coming in, right? And these will be segments, and this will be a broken area of supercell activity that does come in as well. Currently, it's out in the big country, and again, sooner rather than later, that's going to be moving again into our western counties, and then obviously as we go through the late afternoon, early evening, this will also be approaching the Metroplex as well. So again, we want to keep our eyes on everything, obviously, but again, kind of the pre-show earlier in the days, we were anticipating this is along a warm front here, and then kind of the main show near the dry line, truly / Pacific cold front, that again is coming in from the west. And again, you can even see the bowing structure out there north of Abilene. That's already indicative of some pretty gusty winds out there as well. So again, regardless, it's just worth saying, again, if you're just now joining us, again, for those of you that have been joining us, I don't want to sound like a broken record saying it over and over, but for those of you just now joining us, again, we've really got a long day of weather ahead of us, right? We've had a couple supercells initially. Those were anticipated, but truly what we're anticipating and the opportunity of, truly they're talking about hail, talking about wind, and again, unfortunately, talking about that opportunity of tornadic activity that will truly begin to unfold over the next couple of hours, right? And truly, potentially, even within the next 30 minutes, as that activity now is really rapidly beginning to approach really Stevens County out there, our far western county here over the next maybe 30 minutes or so. So we're going to keep our eye on all of this. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to regroup just really quickly here. Like I mentioned, we've really been covering that stuff off there to the north, and we're going to continue to cover it, but we're going to just kind of recycle here momentarily and kind of regroup right before this next round comes in, because we really anticipate just kind of staying with you, continuously as that does begin to approach from the west. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take just a quick break, and then we're going to be back again with more extended severe weather coverage as we go through the afternoon and into the evening as well. Hey, okay, guys. Hey, let's see. Is Ethan on here?